Huntsville Mayor Karen Terziano, Bracebridge Mayor Graydon Smith, and Berks Falls Mayor Kathy Still, and by Muskoka Algonquin Healthcare Interim President and CEO Vicki Kaminsky and Board Chair Cameron Renwick. I also want to recognize Natalie Bubella, who recently retired after 10 years at the helm of MAC. Thank you very much, Natalie. For most of the 21 years I've represented Parry Sound Muskoka, MAC and medium-sized hospitals in rural communities across Ontario had been chronically underfunded. Every year, the hospitals had to come up to the province hat in hand to ask for funding to finish out the fiscal year. That was up until last year. I want to take the opportunity to publicly thank Minister Elliott for finally addressing this long-standing issue. Throughout my time as your MPP, there's always also been an ongoing debate whether we need 2 hospital sites. For a long time, this debate pitted Huntsville against Bracebridge. In the 2018 election, Premier Ford committed to maintaining 2 hospital sites here in Muskoka and East Parry Sound. And right after the election, Minister Elliott confirmed that she too supported maintaining 2 hospitals. But both buildings are showing their age, so since then, the hospital board has been working hard on a plan to revitalize both the Huntsville District Memorial Hospital and South Muskoka Memorial Hospital sites. I'm thrilled to say that Premier Ford and Minister Elliott are here with some news on this front. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce my friend, Ontario Premier Doug Ford. Premier. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks. Well, good morning, or maybe it's good afternoon now. It's great to be here in beautiful Huntsville, and we're going to head over to Bracebridge right after this. And I want to thank our good friend Norm Miller for that introduction. I have to say there's no better person to be standing here today with us than you, Norm. This hospital is located on Frank Miller Way, named after the former Premier and Norm's dad. That goes to show you how highly regarded the Miller family is up here, and is a testament to the decades of service they've given to make life better for the people of this community. And I want to say to Norm, thank you for the 21 years of incredible public service, and that we wish you all the very best, you and your family, in your retirement. And I don't know if you're going to be retiring or not, Norm, but we'll keep you busy if you aren't. So, thank you. And on behalf of Minister Elliott and MPP Miller, I want to welcome Mayor Terziano and Mayor Smith from Huntsville and Bracebridge, respectively. We also have District of Muskoka Chair John Klink and Mayor Still from Berks Falls. And let me thank Vicki Kaminsky and the entire team here at Muskoka Algonquin Healthcare for having us, and for everything you've done to help the people of this area when they needed it most. Friends, after 2 very long years, we've come so far. Now, because of the sacrifices made by every Ontarian and the amazing care provided by our frontline healthcare workers, we've been able to safely and cautiously reopen our province. Our government has a plan to build a stronger, more resilient province with a health system that can respond to crisis. A plan to add hospital beds and doctors, nurses, and personal support workers we need to ensure our province stays open. Today, as part of that plan, we're continuing to deliver for the people and the families of Parry Sound, Muskoka. Muskoka Algonquin Healthcare not only serves the more than 60,000 year-round residents, but each summer that population more than doubles. I'd probably say it even triples, as Ontarians and visitors to our province come to enjoy our spectacular cottage country. In fact, their emergency departments treat 45,000 patients each year. Like all of Ontario, this region is growing, and it is time for you to get the modern hospital capacity you desperately need. Previous governments never cared enough to deliver for the people up here. They promised, they talked, they studied, and they studied more, and then they got nothing done. But our government will get it done where others wouldn't. And so today, I'm proud to announce that our government has approved the plan to redevelop expand, and modernize both Huntsville District and South Muskoka Memorial Hospitals. And kind of gives me chills. Honestly, it does. I love this area, as you know. And with that approval, we're investing $14 million to support the planning for this important project. As the hospitals are redeveloped, we will increase the number of beds at both hospitals, adding 50 new beds to the Muskoka-Algonquin healthcare system, bringing the number of beds to over 140. And it's important that we stress both. I emphasize both communities because it's not acceptable to choose one over the other, as previous governments were going to do. The fact is, the whole region is growing fast, and we need to ensure that people and families all across the region have access to high-quality care when they need it most, close to where they live. That's why we're investing in redeveloping the hospitals both here in Huntsville and in Bracebridge. Today's investment is part of our $30 billion commitment to modernize and expand Ontario's healthcare system over 10 years. With these investments, we're putting the health of Ontarians first and building a stronger and more resilient healthcare system for both generations to come. My friends, in 4 short years, our province has come so far together. Let's keep building, let's keep investing in our rural and northern communities, and let's bring the great people in Muskoka and East Parry Sound the hospitals they need and deserve. Friends, let's get it done. Thank you, and God bless the people of Ontario. Now, I'll hand it over to Vicki Kaminsky.
Premier, Minister Elliott, Mr. Miller, should be a minister, right? Special guests and members of the media. What a great day to be in Muskoka. Spring is in the air, which always brings a sense of optimism, growth, and renewal. And that's exactly what this announcement today does for all of us here. Premier, I would like to thank you and your government for believing in and investing in MAC, in the health and welfare of the residents and the many visitors that come to our communities here in Muskoka. And they come relying on a sustainable, contemporary health system to be there when they need it. This has been a long time coming, and there are people in the audience that know this way better than I. People like our board vice chair, Maureen Miller, who along with the other members of our board have worked tirelessly to advocate on your behalf. People like Natalie Bubella, the recently retired CEO of MAC, who wrote, edited, and rewrote numerous submissions to government stipulating the need for facilities renewal at both hospitals. People like Terry Shields, Vice President and CFO, who has been the MAC interface with the government capital planning staff to ensure they had a deeper understanding of our particular needs here in Muskoka. And of course, Mr. Miller, our tireless MPP, who has always had the interests of our community in mind as he has served his people. To all of you, I say thanks and enjoy the moment. We would not be here without you. Premier, everyone here today is excited, and nobody more excited than the representatives of our 2 hospital foundations who have been waiting for this announcement. They've already started with plans to raise money to support the hospital redevelopment in both communities. This makes it official, folks, and I know you're up to the challenge. Thank you so much for your ongoing support. So, Premier, thank you again for this announcement today, this promise of growth and renewal of both of our hospitals. The pandemic has shown us all too well some of the failings of our physical plans. This announcement today shows us the promise of the future with contemporary hospitals located in Bracebridge and Huntsville. I would now like to turn the podium over to Her Worship, Mayor Terziano.
So good afternoon. This is certainly an exciting announcement and an exciting day for Huntsville, for Bracebridge, all of Muskoka, and all of East Perry Sound. It's a day to give thanks, and I want to acknowledge and thank all of those who have been working for years for this announcement today. The mock board, present, and previous boards. The mock staff, the foundations at both sites, the task force that came before us, our collective councils, both in Muskoka and East Perry Sound. And I want to mention by name former Mayor Scott Aitchison, who was here at the start of all this, and I see him here today, and I'm sure he's thrilled that this is happening as well. And of course, Norm Miller, who's been with us for 21 years, doing everything he can for healthcare. I also want to take a minute to thank Minister Elliott for all her patience with us as we delegated to conference after conference at AMOs and ROMAs, continually asking for this. And she listened, and she always let us come and talk. And we really appreciate that. And we appreciate all of the hard work you've done. I think it'll probably go down in history that you served the hardest 2 years ever as Minister of Health. So thank you for that. And finally, Premier Ford, I want to thank you for recognizing the importance of our hospitals and the vast geographical area they serve and the ever-growing population, which is no longer just seasonal. I want to thank you for your commitment to our communities and also for your service to the people of Ontario. May God bless you and keep you well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. This is a really exciting day, and Mayor, thank you, and Mayor Smith as well. We're going to be heading down to Bracebridge, and you know, this is such a close-knit community. I think I've had full disclosure all the time. I've had a cottage up in this area for 35 years, and it's a very close-knit community. I see Scott, thank you, because I remember you driving this, and number one, you're doing a great job representing the folks here up in Ottawa. So thank you for all your help. But right from the day I got elected, you were on to me about the hospital, and you know something, it's good. It's good because everyone knows everyone up here. And talk about everyone knows everyone. I see a really good friend, Bob Hutchinson or Robert Hutchinson, and I gotta tell you, Bob, I was talking to one of your young sons. Now I asked him how long have the Hutchinsons been up there. He said 1890 or 1880? 1886. Oh my goodness. So, yeah, it's great to see you, sir. Thank you. God bless. How old are you? 95, is it, Bob? You're still water skiing, someone told me. No, honestly, he was water skiing last year. Somebody couldn't believe it. But if I know, I wouldn't even be able to get up. So, anyways, it's just great to see everyone. Thank you. I'm sorry? Oh, Mayor, okay.
I don't want to interrupt your.
No, I'm sorry. Mayor Smith, okay, I thought you were taking turns. You and Bracebridge and the other mayor. That's fine. Thanks, buddy. Sorry about that.
No, I wanted to hear more about Bob Waterski. And I am sorry to interrupt, Premier, but it's just such an unbelievable day for all the communities in Muskoka and East Perry Sound, and my buddy Kathy's there. So happy. You know, I was so pleased, along with many of my municipal colleagues, including Mayor Aitchison at the time, and Mayor Terziano, and Mayor Still, and Chair Klink, to work with the hospital to make sure that a plan was put forward to get what this community needs. And a plan is one thing, but the execution is the other thing. And Premier Ford and Minister Elliott and MPP Miller are just so unbelievably grateful on behalf of, you know, our entire Muskoka community and beyond, again into East Perry Sound, that will benefit from this redevelopment. I know that my fellow mayors and councillors in South Muskoka are absolutely ecstatic at this news, and importantly, so are all the citizens. This is absolutely a game changer for our region. Hospitals are a cornerstone of our communities. They are institutions that communities are built around, and this allows our communities to continue to grow and thrive. And without this investment, you know, things could be very, very different. So we're just so happy that the people that could make these decisions have listened. So happy to work with the people in this community, including the mock board, and again, my municipal colleagues and all the the doctors and nurses and the representatives that were around that table to come up with this plan that we knew was the right plan. Everyone had their heart in the right place and one goal in mind. And today is a great, great day for everyone involved. So thank you very much.
Okay, we'll take questions from the media. If anyone with questions could please form a line behind me at the microphone. We'll go one at a time. It'll be one question and one follow-up per reporter.
How you doing?
Thank you, Premier. Jeff Carter from Hunters Bay Radio.
Hi,
I
Jeff.
just wondered, now that you've announced that you've basically put $14 million down for the actual planning.
Yes.
When, in reality, do you think that shovels will go in the ground and we'll start building the 2 new hospitals?
Yeah, that's going to be really exciting because we're doing the planning grant, then we're going to do $500 million for each location, total $1 billion, which is great. But I'm going to have to hand it over to you, Vicki, if we could. Thank you.
So thank you for that question. And the usual timeline between the actual planning, shovels in the ground, is somewhere between 5 and 6 years. We have to go through a whole site selection, site preparation, all of that work that has to be done before we can actually start the build.
And if you don't mind a follow-up, does this include all new facilities, or are we going to be enhancing some of the facilities we have?
So we're looking right now at what those options look like. In Bracebridge, it's a new facility. In Huntsville, it's new facilities. And we may take some of our equipment, some of our existing equipment into those facilities.
Thank you.
Hello, Premier.
Hi.
Tamara De La Vega with Huntsville Doppler.
Hi, Tamara.
I'm wondering, will both hospitals be full-service acute care hospitals?
Again, do you know I'm going to have to hand that over to Vicki? He might as well just stick close to me here.
Oh, that's a pleasure. I do that. Yes, they will be full-service acute care sites, just as we have now with emergencies, ICUs, inpatient beds, et cetera.
Can I follow up? And will both start simultaneously, both projects?
Again, that's part of the planning, so that we look at what works best for us, so that we maintain all of our services on the sites and don't have any disruption in that.
Perfect, thank you.
Hi, Premier. James Bowler from Your TV.
Hi, James.
This might be for Minister Elliott, but I do want to ask, it was about 2.5 years to get this decision made. Why did it take 2.5 years, I guess, for this funding decision to finally come down?
So it was probably someone local, but when I first took office, exactly what Graydon, you were saying, there was a split between Bracebridge and Huntsville. It was, I didn't want to split the towns, and when debates were going back and forth. But now with this region is growing, and once we put broadband in, we're spending $4.2 billion to make sure we have high-speed internet all over the place. And if there's one thing that we've learned throughout the pandemic, along with many things, is you can work from home. You can be up at the cottage and live here year round now, and be able to work from home. So that adds additional burden capacity onto the hospitals. So they need the support. The decision was made. Both regions are about 40 kilometers apart too. So let's build up Bracebridge. Let's build up Huntsville, because a lot of people are coming from the north into Huntsville as well. Right in that gap in between North Bay and Huntsville. So we're taking a lot of patients from the northern part as well. But that was a decision. But I'm going to pass it over to Minister Elliott. I got to tell you, Christine has stood beside me shoulder to shoulder from the get-go. And she's temporarily retiring, because I'm going to make sure we find something to keep Christine going. But it just shows the character and the integrity of someone like Christine Elliott to come up here when we're going into the election another week or two. It says everything. A lot of people that retire, once they retire, they're out of Queen's Park. But that just speaks volumes. And the people of Bracebridge and Huntsville, it's not me. It's Christine you can thank, because she was the one who signs the papers, moves it forward, and we're just so grateful to have her. And again, driving up here to stand with us. So, Christine, do you have a minute? You can say a few words. There's no question, just maybe if you want to.
Well, thank you very much, Premier. It's a pleasure to be here, of course. But to your question, there has been work that already has been done. This isn't just an announcement that just sprang up out of nowhere. There has been $1 million already committed a year or so ago to start the planning. Now this $14 million will allow for the complete drawings to be done so that we can move the project forward and hopefully get shovels in the ground as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a quick follow-up for you, Premier. You know, since 2019, when we saw the worst flooding we've seen in history here, you have had a massive presence in Muskoka. You've announced funding for the arena. You're now announcing funding for these hospitals, major projects for our area. What is it about Muskoka that really attracts you, other than, you know, having a cottage up here as well?
I just love the people, and the previous government always ignored the rural folks, northern folks, ignored the infrastructure, ignored widening the roads and bridges, and we aren't ignoring them. We're going to make sure that we invest in the hospitals and into schools and roads and bridges, because, you know, again, they were ignored for 15 years. We aren't ignoring them anymore. And you know who played a critical role in this, and when you're in government versus when you aren't in government, was Norm Miller. He represented the people up here just incredibly well, and I can assure the people up here, he had a very loud voice when we're sitting in caucus about the needs of the people here, no matter if it was long-term care or other areas that we need to focus on. Now they're getting the love that they deserve, because they weren't getting too much love under the previous folks. Thank you. But thank you.
Well, Mr. Premier, Martin Halleck with Vista Radio.
Hi.
So a couple of weeks ago, MPP Miller made an announcement in this very hospital about certain upgrades to the Huntsville Hospital. Is this funding completely new, the $14 million, or is that the $2 million be part of that funding?
I'm going to have to hand it over to the minister, or Vicki. Go ahead.
This one I know. This is completely new funding. So the $2 million that was announced a couple of weeks ago was money looking at lost revenue during COVID. The hospital was incurring some shortfalls, so that was to make up that base. This is brand new.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Micah. Sorry, Pamela Steele here
Hi,
for
Pamela.
Metroland across Parry Sound, Muskoka.
Yeah, how are you?
Well, thank you.
Good.
So my question is, the base funding, can we talk a little bit about what that's going to look like for the hospital? It's been problematic in the past. There was a bump this year, but what happens with base funding?
I'm going to hand over to Minister Elliott.
Well, we know that hospitals across Ontario have had much greater expenses in the last couple of years. We have compensated them for some of the lost revenue, of course, but also the base funding is really important. We have a process in place this year that we're going to be increasing funding, base funding, by over 4%, which means every hospital in Ontario will receive at least a 2% increase.
So follow-up, you anticipate then that the board will not be coming cap in hand to the province every year going forward?
Well, I know that there's a lot that's going on with planning right now. I wouldn't say that would never happen, but I think that we've really improved the situation considerably with the funding for small and medium-sized hospitals. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
That's it? Okay, well, thank you so much, folks. And we're off to Bracebridge to make another great announcement down there. Everyone's welcome to come. But I just want to, again, thank the board. I want to thank the foundation, the municipal, provincial, and federal governments. I'm very, very grateful. One of the greatest areas in Ontario, beautiful cottage country up here in Muskoka. If you have time, you don't have a place up here, come up and pay us a visit and stay here. Beautiful lakes, and bring your family and friends. Great place to visit. So thank you so much. God bless.